Every day you wake up and you don't choose to step into the best version of yourself and give up self-sabotaging behaviors and your vices and wanting to be a better man, you're not only doing yourself a disservice, you're doing everyone around you a disservice, and you're affecting everyone in your current reality and in the future. Because imagine this, there's the version of you right now who gives into his self-sabotaging behaviors, gives into his vices, isn't the best version of himself, isn't working on his mindset every single day, and he looks at himself in the mirror with shame. He's not confident. He doesn't know how to hold himself, or he does, and deep down, he knows he can actually be better. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I've been there before. And there's a version of you who wakes up, who chooses and actively goes out to develop his mindset, develop his physique, develop a relationship with God, to become the rock and to become the man he needs to become for his loved ones, his family around him, and to impact other people's lives and to serve. Now, you might think you have it all together right now, but think about it. If you were to write down everything in your life currently and how it's going, would you truly be happy with every angle of what's going on in your life right now? And tell me this, because I know every man has something hidden under the rug, what he puts behind closed doors. Are those self-sabotaging behaviors that you're hiding from everyone? How are you facing them? Are you constantly giving into them every single day? Because every time you give into a vice that you know you shouldn't, do you know what you're doing? You're eroding your self-trust. And do you know what gives a man majority of his confidence when he wakes up in the morning? Is self-trust, knowing he has the ability to do the things he says he's going to do. So if you're constantly making promises to yourself, I'm going to give up the pornography, I'm going to give up the drinking, I'm going to stop cheating on my partner, I'm going to wake up at the time I said I'm going to wake up, I am going to build the business even bigger than what it is now, I am going to be the leader, I'm going to be the best partner I possibly can be for my spouse. And what happens if every morning you wake up and you don't step into that version of yourself? You are destroying your trust within yourself, which is a fundamental pillar to have in a man's life. Is the ability that he knows deep in his subconscious mind that he can accomplish anything that he puts his mind to. And you may think you can do that, but in reality and behind closed doors, you're breaking that promise every time you wake up. So you have to become consciously aware of these behaviors that you're doing day in and day out to actually stop them. And the only reason I say that is because I've been there before. I've done the self-sabotaging behaviors. I thought I had everything together. I thought I was the man. I thought I had the money, I had the partner, I had the house, had the car, and life was great. But my self-sabotaging behaviors eventually destroyed them all. So through me losing everything, I realized that lying to myself every day was never the answer. And that the external things can only validate you for so long before what's on the inside exposes everything and you start to lose what you've built externally because it's built on a rocky foundation. Then I made the choice to wake up every single morning to become the guy who faces everything head on. Because every day you delay of wanting to be the best version of yourself, all that's doing is impacting everyone's lives around you. But the first thing is becoming consciously aware of you making these decisions in your life and accepting you can actually improve your life. Because if you don't think you can improve, how can you put the necessary steps in action or in place to become the best version of yourself? So that's the first thing. The second thing is actually changing your identity day in and day out, reminding yourself. So what I was doing was I was waking up every morning And I didn't like the concept of journaling, so I renamed it to cognitive offloading. And I set up a 5-step structure which helped me, where I identified who I was yesterday, who I don't want to be, the habits he has, and the habits what I need to have, and the man I want to become. And I visualized as I was writing this down every single day for 4 years to install it in my subconscious mind that I will become this guy. I will become the rock, the people and the loved ones, or who I love around me, and the people who I can impact in the future need me to be. So every morning, before you start downloading information from scrolling on your phone, listening to other people talk, looking outside, grab a book, sit down, and start writing out who you have to become and what habits does he have, and the version of you who you don't want to be, and what habits does he have. Because if you're not bringing it to the forefront of your mind every single day, you've been living your life on autopilot and just reacting instead of being consciously aware and looking at situations from a third-person perspective. That's why you gravitate towards the self-sabotaging behaviors. Or you're not even consciously aware of what you're doing in the time. And then in that moment of time, and you're thinking to yourself, why did I even react like that? Why did I even do that thing? It's because you're not consciously aware and you're just living your life reacting, running by emotions. So you have to become conscious aware. And I find writing down who you want to become every single morning puts it at the forefront of your mind. And it's very, very easy to navigate the day when you have it at the front of your mind. The third thing is working on your physique daily. I'm a Christian man, and there's a verse in the Bible what says, well, not a verse, but there's a saying, break your flesh. Because your flesh is going to want to do the things that you don't want to do. It chooses comfort. And it's obvious, and also it's a biological default in the human's mind to just reproduce and seek comfort. And you have to wake up and choose the path of most resistance every day. Because if you're constantly giving in to comfortable behaviors, and every time your mind says, don't do this comfortable thing, and you choose the comfortable thing, you're basically giving yourself permission to choose to be that weaker version. So imagine how that shows up every time you're faced with adversity. You're faced with a difficult decision to make. When you're faced with your self-sabotaging behavior, which you know you shouldn't be doing. It could be lust, it could be drinking, it could be cheating on your spouse. It could be making promises to yourself, like I said at the beginning of the video. All these things play a role, and that's why you have to choose the path of most resistance. That's why I personally wake up and I do either a cold shower in the morning, which is uncomfortable, or I do a cold plunge every morning because my brain is telling me not to go and do that thing. So when I go and do the difficult thing, I'm reprogramming my subconscious mind on a daily basis, making myself choose the difficult thing. So if I have a thought, what pops in my mind, where it wants me to gravitate towards a vice or a self-sabotaging behavior, it is that much easier for me to say no to the thing that's going to take away from my life than to give into it. Because who I was before, 4 to 6 years ago, I was constantly saying yes to the vices. I was constantly saying yes to the self-sabotaging behaviors. And all that did was, in the end, brought destruction to my life. The deeper I went down the rabbit hole. And I just wasn't consciously aware of what I was doing. So you have to wake up and have the number one mission to break that old version of you every single day. And that's through physical challenges. Set a goal. Get to a lower body fat percentage. Get into the best shape you possibly can be. Make a commitment to go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. Make a commitment to stay on a clean diet for 180 days and stick to it. And regardless of what your mind says, break through and show up daily. And I can tell you that will reprogram your subconscious mind to become the best version of yourself and to choose the difficult decision. So then when you do get in the crossroad of having to choose a self-sabotaging behavior or the man you must become, you will choose the man you must become every single day of the week. And the fourth thing is changing your identity. Because at the end of the day, all the other three things go to complete waste, and there's no point even implementing them if you're not knowing which direction you should go. Who do you want to become? And really internalizing your new identity, because everything is latched to your current identity. Everything you've done up until this moment is what's causing the chaos in your life. It's what's causing you not to be the best version of yourself. It's causing you to break trust with yourself. So really just sitting down and internalizing who you truly want to become. Who do you want to hang around? How much money do you want to make? How do you hold yourself? How do you dress? How do you want to show up as a partner? How do you want to show up as a father? You have to internalize every aspect of your life on how it looks, because if you don't, there is no direction. And when a man doesn't have a mission, he is a dangerous man to himself and the others around him. And that is the reality of it. But when a man's on a mission, he has purpose. And if you have no purpose, the only thing that's left outside of purpose is self-destruction. So changing your identity and getting a clear vision of who you want to become will give you the mission to apply the three other steps to become that version of yourself that you need to be. And not just that you need to be for yourself, for everyone around you and the future lives you can impact. Because our duty as a man is to be the rock, to be the foundation, and to help as many people as we possibly can through the gifts God has given us. But how can you unlock that genetic potential if you're waking up and you're choosing a weak mindset every single morning? You're choosing to look at yourself in the mirror and accept who you are as a man. How can you be okay with that? And it's not until you become not okay with it, then you can start making changes in your life and you can start taking accountability of the man you are right now. Because if you never take accountability, and this is the thing, I'm telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Because the whole reason you're in this position right now is probably because everyone around you is a yes man. No one's telling it straight to your face. Everyone's softening you up. But unfortunately, if you look at yourself in the mirror and you're unhappy with yourself, accept it for what it is. Make the necessary changes. And I just gave you the tools that you need to utilize to make those changes. Because if you don't take those tools that I gave you and you sit there and you just think, oh, another video, but you don't actually make the change, that is exactly why you're in the position you are in now. That is why your life is going to chaos. That is why nothing is going the way you want it to. Yeah, it might be good. Money might be good. Certain aspects of your life might be good. But there's that one thing that you're thinking to yourself, why is it never working out? And most people think it's the external things that's causing that problem. But the only thing that's causing that problem is you. So you have to implement the things that I told you and wake up and choose to become a new identity and destroy and kill that old version of you. Because your old self must die to allow room for your new self to be reborn. And remember that.